Greetings, I'm Roger Newbold, and welcome to this episode number 15 of Experienced Photography. Now, my fellow photographer, my partner, and the editor for this episode is Matt Rich. He's the man with the lightning in the fingers. He's the one that makes this whole thing work. And I just saw Matt tippy-toeing around the corner. Are you there? All right. Very good. In our most recent past vlog, we spoke of energy and motion. How to utilize long exposures times to add some real pizzazz to your inventory of photo techniques. Several of the procedures we suggested, like zooming or running with the camera towards the subject, or camera movements during long exposure, adds variety to your work. We talked about neutral density filters and how they can assist you in achieving long shutter speeds. Now, we really hope you had a chance to play and invent some new images for you, because this is really exactly that, play. It's exciting to create new things. Today, we bring you another exciting adventure and fresh opportunities to try out something different. Sometimes you need a wide angle, if not the lens itself, at least in attitude. The photographer Ernst Haas was asked, "What's the best wide angle lens?" And he answered, 2 steps back. It always helps to have a broader attitude and a more full understanding of life, but maybe that's just an intellectual goal or desire. A visual or photographic aim requires something a bit more fantastic. So let's examine this wide angle point of view. What is a wide angle lens? Camera lenses are defined by a comparison to the field of view that our eyes naturally see, which is about 50 millimeters on a full-frame camera, or about 35 millimeter if you're using a crop sensor camera. The angle of view of a normal focal length lens is approximately 46 degrees. Now, any wider field of view, that is considered a wide angle lens. Many of today's zoom lenses encapsulate shorter focal lengths than in that arena. 35 and 28 millimeter, or 23 and 18 in a crop sensor, provide about 62 to 75 degree angle of view, and they're really quite common. Now, when we attain 84 degrees, which would be about the same as a 24 millimeter on a full frame camera and 16 millimeters on crop, the images begin to generate additional significance. Now, if we take a really bold step, we get a 16 millimeter, that would be 10 on a crop sensor, and all of a sudden we're into 108 degree field of view, things become explosive, and they become to unveil themselves. If you can go wider, oh man, just buckle up your seatbelt. Let's take a look at figure number 1. It's a focal length chart. Basically, a lens can be fabricated in 2 different styles, either as a prime lens or a zoom lens. Now, the prime lens is a lens with a fixed focal length, What this means simply is it cannot zoom. It's locked into a single perspective. A prime lens comes in many sizes and focal lengths. Now, one disadvantage of a prime is that, indeed, it is simply a fixed focal length. A 20 millimeter is always just a 20. An advantage to prime, however, is that there are fewer optical elements, which keeps the weight down and, therefore, the cost. Fewer glass elements generate less optical diffraction, resulting in greater apparent sharpness and maintains a fixed aperture or f-stop. Another advantage is there's no need for complex internal moving constituents. This keeps the lens barrel size much smaller. Finally, prime lenses can be constructed to a faster, maximum f-stop and a wider aperture without busting the bank, providing smooth optical background blurs or bokeh. Now, what is a zoom lens? A zoom lens is any lens that can vary its focal length and thereby their angle of view by physically moving the various optical elements within the lens design itself. Is a term zoom does not actually correspond to any specific range, despite sometimes being confused with the term telephoto zoom or wide-angle zoom, but effectively changes the angle of view and the focal length by moving certain elements inside the lens barrel that gives the zooming in or zooming out effect and still maintains a sharp image. Generally speaking, zoom lenses are not capable of the same wide apertures that prime lenses are, such as f1.4 or 1.2. Now, with current lens technology and some of the new glasses appearing on the market, we do have a handful of f2 and f1.8 zoom lenses, and they are really great because of the modern computer design. Both zooms and primes are capable of great image quality even at their widest apertures. Zoom lens magnification is usually not a reference to an actual reproduction magnification that the lens can achieve, but the optical magnification that happens between the widest end of the zoom range and the longest ends. For example, a 2450 would be a 2x zoom, and a 24 to 105 would be a 3x zoom, and a 28-300 super zoom would be just over a 10x zoom. So let's get into this. What's the use of a wide angle? It is to keep the photographer from being, run over in the parking lot, or at least keep the photographer in the same county. Let's take a look at figure 2. This is one of our workshop groups. We had somebody take this picture, we didn't want them getting mowed down in the parking lot. The usual zoom is so that the camera operator doesn't have to move. They just zoom to the widest focal length that their lens is capable. Click, one, done, we're out. In all the years that I worked at my neighborhood camera stores, I witnessed probably 10,000 pictures of very tiny small people in thin long lines. Occasionally, I would see the 17-mile view of the Grand Canyon or, wherever. This left absolute unresolved minuscule detail. The only thing this style of pictures indicated is that somebody visited some location. Today, we would like to present some thoughts to encourage images with more power. If you're going to the expense of getting a second lens, come on, let's have some whop. Yeah. Take a look at figure 3. So what does it take to make a more powerful image? Emphasize a foreground element. Wide-angle lenses allow you to get really close to something in the foreground, which will emphasize it and make it look even larger, more important than any of the background elements. And you can use this to your advantage. Don't just have the most expansive frames in the family. Have the most expressive frames. So try getting very close to the main subject. You'll be surprised when you look through the viewfinder and discover, that object didn't appear quite as close to the lens as I thought. Go ahead, look up the specifications for your given lens. You'll find that many wide angles focus to less than 1 foot from the camera focal plane, not the front of the lens. Take a look at figure 4. The focal plane mark on the body on the outside of the camera identifies the location of the focal plane surface inside the camera. The focal plane is also called the image plane, or the sensor plane, or the film plane. This will often put the subject matter much closer than you thought, and this really adds power. Take a look at figure number 5. Now, don't forget, by stopping the diaphragm down, you can increase the depth of field and sharpness by also going to like f16. Zing! More added power. See figure 6. Now, you can use the K key to temporarily halt this video and copy this down. This is the link to review all of our past productions like depth of field. You can go back and review them. There it is. Take a look. Okay. Let's go to figure 7. This is a basketball court. And this is really a galactic photograph by Matt. It shows how to use the wide-angle lens and how it's used in general. Good shot. It describes the situation well enough. It's a backyard basketball court. Everything is there. Who could complain? Almost everybody would be happy to show this image off as one of their own fine images. Now, let's look at figure 8. Also by Matt. This picture is well illustrated, but the impact of the larger ball tells a absolutely superior story about basketball using the court as support. Don't be afraid to get close. It adds wide-angle power to your narrative. Now, near-far relationships are really a mark of a fine artist. Let's look at figure number 9, side-by-side comparison of the two images. You know, this is really well executed. Well done, my friend. I know that even Ansel Adams tried that near-far trick, and it worked. Other uses for wide-angle lenses. Let's take a look at figure number 9, the peppers. By arranging your composition with the diagonal point of view shooting off instead of straight on or parallel to the subject, you get more horsepower out of your wide-angle lens. The drop in size, the power of the movement, the increase of the lens distortion. Everybody sees that as a negative. Lens distortion. This is what brings superior image power. Let's take a look at figure 10. If you're confined and you look upwards in Grand Canyon, Arizona, hey, number 10 provides an artistic use of a wide angle when you're jammed into a confined space. Just look up. There's no visitors above you. And you can look up in the desert, in a cave, downtown, anywhere. Look up. Now, since you were looking upward in that canyon, we want to give equal time and opportunity to your neck. So let's look down. Point that old wide angle down a bit and watch the foreground stretch out. It'll put a smile on anyone's face. Take a look at Matt's ingenious picture of the smile in figure 11. Great. Now, beware and use caution with polarizing filters on wide-angle lenses. Figure 13 is a terrific borrowed image. Take time to make stylistic efforts in your images. Using a tripod can help. And it's when you're attempting to take time to create a complex composition, that's good. However, be aware of the tripod leg in the corner of your wide-angle lens frame. Now, if you're shooting handheld candids and you're moving swiftly around and maybe in poor light, keep your own big foot out of the shot. Here's my number 12 right in figure 14. Try to construct a composition and add organize to the picture elements to reveal an interesting graphic design or an emotional pattern to engage the viewer. Simplify the structure as much as possible. Take a look at figure number 15. It's Japanese Magic by Matt. Now, figure 16 divulges another use for a wide angle, and that is negative space. To imply solitude and isolation, a wide-angle lens can be very supportive in generating space around the main subject. The black areas really add to that negative space. Now, a wide-angle lens can add a lot of fun to your image collection. You can make stunning pictures because the opportunity for enjoyment is there. Take a look at figure 17. If you want to see some pure fun, look at figure 18 by Matt. I laughed so hard when I saw this. It just had to make the final cut in the video. You can put something like this together and make great use of your wide-angle lens. I don't know if Lincoln had so much fun, but the picture is great. I think it's great. Okay, 10 prompts. For maximum power and subject emphasis, do not Shoot with the camera parallel to the subject. Select a bold foreground. Use the near-far relationship. They really dazzle. Avoid distractions. Wide angles include a lot in the frame. Ensure there are no disturbances in the frame, like tripods or feet. Try to align yourself with the picture elements to reveal an interesting graphic or design or pattern. Tilt the lens upward to heighten and elongate mountain peaks. Stretch an incredible sky. Tilt the lens downward and you accent leading lines. You create a real perspective. Number 6, employ a wide angle to discover new perspectives in very close quarters. Beware and use caution when using polarizing filters on a wide angle lens. Using negative space to imply wide angle solitude and isolation. Wide angle lenses have a degree of visual distortion. Use it to your advantage. Wide angles can add a lot of fun to your images. Now, one thing I want to say, do not use a polarizer when you're trying to create a panorama. That just doesn't work. Now, when we pay attention to our own creative process, our photographs show expanding horizons of our own spirit. We enrich the mood that the images make and add more power and artistic enrichment to it. Cherish your own emotions and never undervalue them. Many people participate in photography, and for many different reasons. As for fortune and as for fame, they're illusions, not solutions. You got to create with passion. You've got to exhibit your own joy. And you got to have a really you've got to have a heroic and courageous spirit. My friends, our time is up for today, and Matt and I certainly hope we have given you a quantity of new, powerful ideas to try out. I hope this has been of value to you, and if it has been, give us the old thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. By all means, let your friends know that we offer experienced advice, which everyone can become a better photographer from. And, heck, it's just a lot of fun. Please keep your comments coming in. We appreciate them. If you please keep those comments coming in. We appreciate them all. I hope you found this to be the best vlog you watched this week. Now, the old Keebler elf and me are waving goodbye. So until we meet again on screen, have a cookie. Farewell and adieu, my friends.